Good evening, and welcome to Body and Soul Awareness with Stephanie and Oksana. Here are your hosts.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, everyone. Hello, Oksana.
Hi, Steph. How are you?
I'm tired. I had a really long week, to be totally honest. It's crazy because nobody thinks I do anything because I'm a stay-at-home mom and I work from home. But everybody thinks I just sit around and do nothing and eat bonbons.
Isn't that what mothers do anyway?
Yeah, that's what they say. That's what they say. But no, actually now I'm chasing around well, he's not a toddler, he's a crawler. And he's getting into everything, and he's discovered that he really likes pulling a cat's tail.
Oh, now I feel for the tail.
You know, the cats are handling it pretty well. I'm proud of them. I did tell him that if he continues, that he deserves whatever he gets. So he needs to stay away from the cats because it's not nice. Be nice. That's what we've been saying all week. Be nice. Be nice. Be nice.
Word of the week.
Yes. So I'm trying to stay away from, like, the whole no thing. Like, no, you can't do that because I don't want to put, like, that word in his head too much. But be nice.
Because he doesn't know why, no.
Right, because no means.
Why no?
Like, no, let me figure out a way to do it where you're not watching me and I can't get in trouble for it. Yeah, but what about you? How was your week?
Mine was also crazy. I don't think be nice was the statement of it. But get out of my way, maybe. Get out of my way.
Were you in traffic?
No, actually no traffic. Just it's been a long week. We've just, our company is going through a little bit of readjustments and reorganization. So there's a lot going on. And due to that, it's just a little bit chaotic. You still have to maintain the job and all that stuff that comes with it, but at the same time, there are changes happening, which is good. Yeah. So my week's been interesting, and last week's homework was we asked everyone to give a thought. Tell me if I'm correct with this one, but I believe that's what it was.
Yeah,
it was the meaning and the...
Right, so other than just procreating and because you have to take care of your kids because you have them, like what feelings do you have when you think of your children, whether you have them now or you're planning on having them in the future? And then alternatively, if you don't want children, what feeling does the thought of not having children give you? So kind of just your thoughts about having kids.
Right, not just going at it because everyone is doing it and, just the way society must do, I guess.
Right.
Whether it is for you or not. So,
or because you're ovulating right now.
Right, well, definitely. Because sometimes, actually a lot of times, when people do have strong feelings, either pro or against, I think I know for sure there's something more to it. It's not just, I want to experience this or I don't want to. Right. It's something is there within them that really wants that. And that's what the point is. It's like, what is that? What is that wanting that? So that's kind of, that was the homework, and hopefully it served well. Do you want to elaborate on this, or?
Okay. So
you can go first, ladies first.
I can take it from two different standpoints because I've done it two totally different ways. I haven't done it at all the traditional way, but two totally different ways. So the first time I was 20 years old when I got pregnant, so it was actually 5 days before my 21st birthday when I had him. Why then did I want a child? I didn't. I was really scared. I was young. I knew how hard it was going to be because my mom had children young. And not that I was, like, young. Like, I didn't live at home. Like, I had my own job and car and my own place. And, like, I was self-sufficient, but I was still young. Now, it's not that I was missing anything because because I didn't really go out to the club. It wasn't like I wanted to like run the streets and do head wrappings with my friends or anything like that. But it's just, I knew how much work it was going to be. Because, again, my mom had my brother when I was like 11. So I was like surrogate mom when she was at work, because she was a single mom too.
Mm-hmm.
So from that aspect of it, I really just wanted to do everything the right way. I like put him into sports, and I got all his vaccines, and I did all like the school stuff.
You followed the rules?
I did. I even down to how I had him in the hospital, right? I had him induced early because
why wait?
Well, why wait? Because we were so close to my birthday. What if you accidentally wait for my birthday, and then I wouldn't have my birthday to celebrate? It would be our birthday, and that is so not fair. And I want to be able to give you the right amount of time, and I want to have the right amount of time for me. I needed space, okay?
You need to keep him special and to keep yourself special. I hear you.
Exactly. So we had a 5-day break. But anyway, so that time, I don't know, I just wanted to do everything the way that I was supposed to, because I was in this situation and I wanted to make it as best for him as I possibly could. And
float above the water?
Yeah, because I took care of him 100% financially the whole time. So I was working. I went straight back to work after like 6 weeks. Everything was by the book. Put him in daycare, go back to work. I stopped breastfeeding because when he wasn't eating, pumping didn't work. So it was I don't know, it was really bad. Like every time I talk about it, I feel really, really bad because of the difference that I had this time. So here we are, 14 years later. And
part 2 to the movie.
I know. It's crazy. It's weird because it's not even like another part to, or like another chapter to the same book. It's almost like a new book altogether.
Yeah.
But so this time, I, from day one, did everything naturally. I watched what I ate. I made sure that I studied a lot. I had a lot of research. I knew what was going on inside my body. I knew what happened during the process of labor and delivery. So, like, literally when I was there pushing him out, I could see what was happening. Well, not really see it, but you know what I mean? I could, like, I understood what was going on and what was supposed to go on, so I could help visualize for him to help him kind of find his way out. We used to meditate before.
The flow of the energy,
correct. We used to meditate before I gave birth. Just I would see him coming out, and we would, his little soul and my soul, we would bond together and be like, all right, we can do this. So this is how we're going to get out. But anyway, so from day one, it was totally different. I
still wish I was there. I was late by like what, hour? Everybody
was late. I had the shortest like labor and delivery like ever. Because what I think happens is my body starts preparing like a month ahead of time. Like I started having these sensations. Now it's not like I'm in labor, but sensations. And everybody's like, oh, it's some hicks. It wasn't. It was my body opening up slowly over a period of time. So when it did actually come down to the labor, I didn't have hard labor. Like it was 82 minutes from my first, like, oh my gosh, contraction.
But that makes sense. That makes absolute sense.
But I think that probably has a little bit to do with, I took care of myself. I ate right. I went to the chiropractor. I made sure I was adjusted and aligned. I sought acupuncturist to make sure that all my chi was good. I did so many different things just to make sure it was right. So this time, why did I have a child?
So for me, there's a few different aspects of why I had my second child. So as most everyone knows, I did not have a typical family situation where I was married to my boyfriend. We did, however, live together. We went on vacation. I got pregnant. I found out once I got back from vacation, a couple of days. And then a few days after that, I found out that he had been cheating. So it wasn't like, oh, we planned this. It was like, oh my gosh, what the heck is happening? So there was a few different aspects of why I actually went ahead and had my second child. So the first aspect was the first time I just really didn't appreciate my oldest son for the beautiful soul that he is, and I wanted to experience that from the beginning. And then there was another aspect of it too, is I didn't truly appreciate my body. I didn't appreciate how truly amazing it is to be a woman and to be able to take 2 cells and create a whole entire baby and still sustain life and do everything that it is that she has to do to maintain her life. With a lot of women do it and they already have kids, so they're dealing with other kids, they're dealing with their husband, they're dealing with their boss if they're working, and among everything else that women deal with. And then the third aspect of it was to help kind of raise the consciousness level of humanity. Like, I knew that this time when I had this child, I was going to do it the right way, and I was going to raise a son that was worthy of putting forth into the world. And not saying that my oldest isn't, because he's learning kind of on his own pace. But I think when you start them off right from the beginning, it makes a huge difference.
I'm going to raise my boys to be like totally awesome boys, but yeah. So.
Yeah, they are awesome.
They are.
Mm-hmm. So they're so great with each other.
Yeah.
Already.
Thank goodness, because otherwise we wouldn't be doing the show.
Right.
Well,
you have great stories to share. Absolutely. It's
interesting.
And very interesting because they are different.
Yeah, totally different.
You know, one lifetime, not even full lifetime.
Yeah.
You know, you already have 2 stories, very different stories when, you know, connected to the topic we're talking about. So
yeah. So what about you?
For me,
where do you stand?
Right now, I am beyond whether with want or not want. To me, it's up to life.
Mm-hmm.
But I have gone through stages, just like you had with your different child bringing. I think I've started thinking and feeling that, yes, I'm going to have a child because that's what we do. That's kind of normal, you know. I haven't had children yet, nor I don't even know if I will, but I might or I might not. But when I was, let's say, in my 20s, I thought, yes, this is the way we do things. Let's, you get married, you have children, whatever. And then, of course, life says, are you sure? Are you sure that's how it is? And that's when you really start questioning, like, maybe not, because otherwise it wouldn't. Right? So anyway, and then I've evolved into more to a stage where I started feeling pressure. Like, I was fine already with the whole concept, that's what we must do. I got over that. Right. That really didn't take that long. I'm like, okay, no. I'm not doing everything the way it's supposed to be in this illusion world. Then I got into the space where I was feeling that everyone else wants me to have children. And then I was like, I don't even know what I want anymore because everyone else is, coming with questions and all that. So we've gone through that phase. And now I'm at the phase of embracing what life is ready to give me, whatever it is, and it requires quite a bit of internal inquiry and self-work.
It does.
You can't get there without just, some people maybe get smashed and they're lucky, but you find that solid ground under the eggshells.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There are a lot of eggshells on the surface. You have to walk on before you get there.
Oh, yeah. And trust and believe. Your kids are totally a reflection of yourself, because Christian, my first, is a reflection of who I was then. And this one, I'm just hoping he's a reflection of who I am now.
And that's why I'm like, because some people say, no, karma is just bullshit. I'm like, well, yes and no.
Yeah, no.
Yes and no. You can push your karma toward you, or you could not. So there is something to it.
Yeah, and your kids see who you really are, right? Because they're with you a lot, pretty much. They see you when you're on your downtime, when you take off your mask. So, they really pick up on all that.
Because parents are their models, and of course they're going to copy you. I mean, the characters might be different, but they will know what buttons to push.
Oh, yeah.
And
Definitely.
So, but yeah, that's me. You know, I am, my main, I guess, state right now is being in my flow, in alignment with life. Right? So, I'm at that point right now. And
beautiful.
It's good. Good. So, yeah, that's our week, and the next step will be, I'm excited about our guest.
Yes. Dr. Stephanie Pina is with us tonight. She's in the studio. A little bit of background on Stephanie. She graduated from the University of Tennessee, Knoxville with a Bachelor's of Science. She obtained her doctorate in naturopathic medicine from Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine, located in Phoenix, Arizona. While training at Southwest College, she first became interested in Chinese medicine and returned to school to complete a master's degree in Oriental Medicine from the Phoenix Institute of Herbal Medicine and Acupuncture. She also holds a Diplomate status in both Acupuncture and Oriental Medicine from the National Accrediting Board of Acupuncture and Oriental Medicine. Stephanie is a fellow and member of the American Board of Oriental Reproductive Medicine, a specialty board accrediting practitioners with advanced training in Western and Eastern reproductive medicine. She has written articles for many national health magazines, such as the Townsend Letter. Her goal is to educate people about the importance of being proactive in their health. She enjoys riding horses, traveling, and volunteering to help charitable organizations in her free time.
Nice.
Stephanie, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
I'm excited. A lot of good topics already brought on the table.
I know.
I know.
Got a lot to discuss.
Yeah, so much we're going to run out of time. We always do.
Mm-hmm.
So, wow. So you have an amazing background. Can you tell us a little bit about why you chose to go with more Eastern medicine?
Sure.
And it looks like reproduction and fertility as well are your specialties. So why did you decide to go into this field?
Well, I can tell you first, I did not grow up with any kind of holistic medicine. I grew up like everyone kind of did at least a decade ago, where, you know, you went to the doctors when you were sick, you got antibiotics when you needed them. If you had a broken bone, they fixed it. They just let it heal on its own. There was nothing different about the way I grew up. And what I noticed, and we were talking about this earlier, is that I had a passion for horses, and I thought, I'm going to go to veterinary school. And I was going to be an equine surgeon. I was going to get my hands on and everything. And unfortunately, veterinary school is a little difficult to get into. But I had gotten into, at that point, equine nutrition. And that kind of passion for nutrition has a lot to do with human nutrition now. And what's interesting is there's more of that developing and understanding how nutrients work in the body from the animal side than I thought there was on the human side. And so that kind of ended up leading me back into human nutrition. And I went into naturopathic school, which was a 4-year program. It was a doctorate. And the school that I happened to go to had acupuncture as part of the program. A lot of the acupuncture schools or naturopathic schools don't have acupuncture. It's a completely separate program.
Okay.
So I was lucky to start to get this idea of things being in balance from a Chinese medicine perspective much before I got into acupuncture school. And as fate would have it, I always I can never remember the student's name, but that's the way it goes, right? You never remember the person, but you know what she looks like.
Right.
I entered clinic because we were seeing patients, and I was a secondary, so basically I was just cleaning up after everybody else. And this one student that was getting ready to graduate said, this is an 11-week shift, 5 weeks into this shift, I'm done. I can graduate. I'm not doing this shift anymore. And I hope you pay attention because you're following me around, and all these patients are yours afterwards.
Oh, wow.
And this was an acupuncture shift, and I was in the class where we were learning which end is the sharp end of the needle. So it was a real crash course. So because of that, student,
Bittersweet, huh?
Bittersweet, she sent me home with a type of squeezy ball that you use like when you're drawing blood that you hold on to, and instead of needles, it said, just go home and practice. So that's basically, I probably out of fear. That's exactly what I did. And 6 weeks later, the head acupuncturist said, show me what you can do on this, one of the patients that came in, and that was the beginning of it all. And that, because there was that connection somehow there, and I could just almost do it better than everyone else, I started going, what's the science behind this, and let's develop this more. So when I got out of naturopathic school, I took about 9 months off to pass national boards, and then hop back into acupuncture school. And 2.5 years later, I left the Phoenix area and took kind of like an internship where all we did was treat acupuncture patients.
Wow.
So about 125 acupuncture patients a week, which is like kind of unheard of. That was an average week. And so about 6 years ago, I came here to Virginia to work for the Roselle Center for Healing, where I've been primarily their acupuncturist. But the good thing is, because that is an integrated facility, we have chiropractic and clinical nutrition and massage and stuff, that gives me the opportunity to use the other naturopathic training that I had before. And when I started to really see a lot of women's medicine from the very start, you see that there's this big gap. And you guys kind of discussed it when you're talking about your week and everything moving forward, like to have children or not have children. There's a gap between I'm going from the time where I don't want to have children and everything's about not becoming pregnant to now I want to have children and it's got to be tomorrow and you have to make this happen now.
That's an excellent point.
And unfortunately, there's a lot that happens along the way that we can go into that doesn't make always that the easiest process. And nowadays, there's more and more opportunities, whether you look at it from an Eastern medicine perspective or you look at it from a Western medicine perspective, but there's no one there to guide people. Right. So they're in one system or the other, and they don't know how to combine the two. So when I started working with, ABORM, which is the American Board of Oriental Reproductive Medicine, which there is a specialty. There's only about maybe 100 practitioners between here and Canada. Wow. That's a real combination of the two because you have to be able to talk to the medical doctors and understand their language without it all being, unfortunately, the mind, body, and the chi and everything. That's not going to get you far with them. You have to be able to cross that border.
Speak their language.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if I could say, well, her chi is off and we have to balance her, but they're going, I want to give her this injection tomorrow and she needs to show up for her appointment. Right. So now if you look at it from a patient's perspective, oh my goodness, well, what do I do? Who do I listen to? Right. So to me, it's been interesting finding that border in between and almost having to serve as like a patient advocate because they're going into the Western field going, I don't know what to do. I'm just doing what I'm told. And it's the same thing as when you look at, growing up. You went in and you saw the doctor when you were sick. You got treated. If you didn't get any better, you went back in and probably got another prescription or x-ray or lab test until they figured out what was wrong with you. And we say wrong like with quotation marks. Right. And then you move on. So the same thing goes very much with women's medicine and men's, because right now when we look at fertility issues, it's 30% a female issue, 30% a male issue, and 30% unknown. And I can tell you from my perspective, even though those stats are out there, it's like 85% the woman's fault. And she's not right, something's wrong with her. And even when you're treating male fertility, it's still 85% what can we do with the female. Right. And that becomes an issue because when you are sitting there going, I need to get pregnant now because I'm running out of time, your stress level just increases. Right. And you're not in that time where something has to happen and it's, the loving, caring zone. And as much as your intention is there, it's something's not happening. And unfortunately, that's when we start doing the self-doubt and it's me and why am I not able to do what I want to do. And sometimes it can deal with other chronic healthcare issues too, not just fertility as well.
Well, and we brought that point up last week on the show where the treatment, we were talking about diet and ways of thinking and living before you get pregnant. And we, addressed the question with, okay, is it only women that need treatment or women and men? Because we both contribute to it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So, and I agree with you. And today you brought up an amazing point of the stress level and pressure on females.
Mm-hmm.
That's excellent.
I mean, you see it all the time, and as much work as I do with couples, and unfortunately it is still the one half of the couple coming in for treatment,
Right.
Which is starting to change a little bit. I think it depends on the couple in question.
Right.
And I encourage people to bring in their support system. It doesn't even have to be the other side of the parenting group. But when they do come in, it's very interesting to kind of have a sit-down conversation and go, well, where is your support and where are you in this process? And it's not about, let's just make a child. It's also about, let's make a child that's healthy. Let's make sure you have a safe pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
And let's make sure that child also can turn around and have children of their own, too, which is not something that you think about when you're going, I want to get pregnant now.
Right.
Because you're thinking about the moment.
Yeah. That's so true.
Very good point, too.
Yeah.
And I agree that someone who's never been exposed to Eastern ways of healing is completely foreign, because it's completely different perception, approach to it.
We get a lot of questions on it, and what's interesting now, especially in the field of fertility, is there is a lot of research out there, and a lot of the Western medicine clinics are open to it. They may or may not refer to, say, an acupuncturist, whether they have additional training or not.
Okay.
But what's interesting is that somehow, like you said, somehow they find that way, and something draws them into going, well, what else can I do for myself that isn't going to be harmful, that can just make me a stronger person? And so sometimes we have to have those conversations with patients that says, you're doing everything perfect. It is not you. It's not, the alignment of the stars. It's not the meditation that you skipped last night. It's just not you right now. And so even more on the Western side, they're starting to realize that these women who really want to get pregnant need to take a step back and take it step by step instead of rush straight forward.
Right.
So that's where Eastern medicine comes in and says, you got to find that balance.
Right.
And whether that's acupuncture or nutrition or yoga or movement or anything, it's finding that balance not just through fertility, but your overall health and well-being to begin with.
Exactly.
Right.
Because if you're healthy overall, for the most part, your fertility is going to be
absolutely
good, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, if we think about it from a real basic survivalist standpoint, the body's not meant, whether you're an animal or a human, which basically the same thing, right? We're all animals. But if we think of it separately, like we think of a cat versus us. Basically, when we think about this, is if we're stressed and everything is just not going in our way, it's not in our best interest to have children.
Right.
So the body's going to shut you down. And you have organ systems that are going to do that perfectly well for you because they think you're running from the tiger the whole time, and says, this is not what's going to happen. And unfortunately, in today's society where you have a mixture of, especially I see a lot of women that wait later to have a child, but they're so used to their career lifestyle that I have to fit that in for them.
Right.
And that's not always the way it's supposed to be. So, so it makes it very difficult.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I don't know how I would go back to work at this point. I don't know. Maybe it'll give me a break.
So we're going back to our discussion about the beauty of the holistic world and how it's, how we can use it instead of the medical approach, how we can not, because typically in medicine, you're trying to heal one thing, but there's always some sort of kickback and something gets affected, something else, and then you create another problem. And of course, we're talking about chemicals and stuff that is very foreign to your body majority of the time, and it creates, even from my personal experience, it creates things that are not supposed to be there. They're not natural. They're not, and of course it creates more stuff. So sometimes I wonder what's going on, and like you would want to see a picture, like what is going on in somebody's body. I'd be curious.
Well, I think what's interesting is as you're seeing more people at least look for the information about holistic medicine, maybe not there yet, but they're hearing about it, they're looking for that information, is they have to start thinking outside of the Western box that they've always been presented, because it's not about the symptom control, it's about the whole body. And I'm sure you guys have addressed this before on other radio shows, because, you know, when we treat it at the office, we basically kind of look at it like a triangle, and you have to have all sides of those triangles perfectly aligned for there to be optimal health. Mm-hmm. And so that can be the structural side, so the physical body, the way we think about the bones and the joints and the anatomy and everything. That can be the biochemical side. So now we're talking about the hormones, the food that's going in, how we detox, how we process. And then the other side is really the mental, emotional stress side, because that side often gets overlooked. We typically go, I don't feel good because we have a physical problem going on. But it's amazing, even as a practitioner, when I start to treat that physical problem, you can see the emotional one coming out.
Right.
If they come in for the emotional stuff, the physical one comes out. So when you try to change the way that triangle is supposed to be, and it's out of balance, you're never going to truly feel like 100% great. And then that doesn't even include, the environment that's around us, which is much more of that kind of Chinese medicine approach, where how do we fit into the environment around us? How does our body react with our social settings, with the public, with the weather,
right.
Everything else. So there's even that medical model within the holistic system, but how do we function as a human, a healthy human, and go after well-being instead of just I'm here and I'm symptom-free and this is all I want and I got all my lab work and it all came back great supposedly and I should be healthy.
Well, it's so interesting because the whole Eastern approach, the expansion of the, consciousness doesn't expand, it already exists, but the expansion of consciousness of oneself, so more you expand, you start connecting with the whole life. Mm-hmm. So you don't just see you going through life, you see life going through life. So that's when you start connecting, and that's when you recognize whatever you do in your life actually affects everything around you, and then it continues. So it's getting into the flow. Mm-hmm. And when what you were saying is start, using nature as your friend, as your neighbor, as part of your life, as life, mm-hmm. not just using it for your whatever, burning wood and making paper.
Well, if you think about it too, a lot of the times we don't think about us, and it's all about, the human being, the body, right? So as you start to become more holistically minded, you start to realize how, nutrition can really play an effect of it. This is a perfect example because you see outside what changes or food options we have or how things have changed. How is not getting proper nutrition important to our physical body? And how long do we have to wait to make those changes, no matter what you're treating or what the person's coming in for? So if we kind of go, we're going to get everything through foods, well, what are the foods that we're eating? Mm-hmm. How are they been processed? And essentially, how are we affecting the environment on them? So if we try to grow more of them, I'm sure the whole GMO thing is a whole other topic.
Oh, yes. we wanted to
but how is that going to affect our health now and later on? Or, we look at some of the soldiers coming back from the war and kind of go, how did what they see and experience affect their health now? And you're seeing much more issues with PTSD, suicidal issues, because that part is not being addressed, and that's the environment's action on them. Mm-hmm. And they're physically going, how do I respond back to it? Mm-hmm. And we don't have those answers, and a lot of people don't have anyone to talk to you about it. So, yeah.
So it's, I'm very glad that you are on the show.
Well, and it's funny because from a medical standpoint, a lot of that stuff, I can't always discredit the Western medicine system. And being a naturopath, and my school was much more integrative. Like when I was in Arizona and had my first license, I could write scripts if I wanted to. I could do IVs. I could do minor surgery. So, I mean, we had much more of that Western medicine training than some of the other holistic providers that I know now. Even going into acupuncture school, they didn't get the same training. So I find that balance in between. But if you're, say, a medical student and you're going into a school and all you've been taught is this surgery and this medication, that's all you're going to come forward for. And that makes it tough because as the public learns more about holistic medicine, they're asking that of their doctor, and their doctor doesn't know that. And that's the tough part. Now, there are some changes that are helping with that because some of the larger medical schools are starting to open up and have at least that conversation where they're going, well, what is this alternative medicine? And they're not ready to practice it, but they're opening up because they know people are coming in to ask them about it.
Mm-hmm.
So when patients come to me and all they've known is that Western mindset, and they're going, wow, my doctor keeps putting me on all this stuff, that's what they know. That's all they know, you know. So in one way, you kind of have to teach them, and unfortunately, from a
one-on-one,
if you don't talk to their language, it doesn't seem legit. But if you talk to the patient and then you send the patient home with homework and they start feeling better, then they can prove it to the medical community that there is changes that can be made. And that's when they come back and go, oh, it must have been the medication that I gave you. Not really.
No. But going back to how emotional part connected with the physical, you know, you choose one, the emotions come out. The same started with me, how I started approaching my hips. You know, I'm like, okay, let's heal it with energy. So I went into the physical, and a lot was discovered in the emotional that is tied to the hip issue. So absolutely. So you think you're going to treat that, but other stuff comes out. When you treat that, other stuff comes out. So it's all connected.
We always have the onion analogy, you know, like you peel back the layer and the next one's there, and we use that analogy all the time. But essentially, I mean, that's really what it is. And we're never done peeling back the layers, you know.
Unless you literally just recognize all of those layers are not really yours. Literally. But it's not easy because you physically, emotionally attached to them. So even if you recognize it's bullshit, you have that energy string attached to it, and it takes time. That's why it takes time, because it pulls you back. Even you realize it, you recognize, you're aware of it, but you still have to go physically through it and disconnect. So that's why, at least for me, maybe for some other people it's different, but for me it's been a journey. Interesting one.
I mean, I think that's the point.
And and
if it wasn't for experience, if it wasn't for journey, what the hell is the point of all of this, right?
No, but it's at this point, yes, because who knows what will come next. But when you recognize it is the life that you live, to live it, and then you find yourself, wait a minute, am I living my life, or I am just following to live my life? That's a big, question to ask when you come to it in life.
Oh, definitely.
And then that's when
after that.
That's when healing starts. Oh, how do I take care of my thoughts, of my body, of my brain, of my kids, of what I do in life? So that's when everything starts coming out, and you start questioning everything you do in life and how you do it.
And then as soon as you think you're done with all the layers, then something comes up to remind you that there's one more thing, or two more things, or 10 more things that you have to do.
So anyway, it takes me back to where I started my search, and that's how my more advanced energy information came through, is when I was addressing my hips. And more stuff came out, and I started going into that, more into detail of how energy works within the body, how it affects us, how it heals, how it connects with thoughts. So, and acupuncture is very much connected to it. Meridian channels, chakras.
Well, and what's amazing, no matter what kind of alternative or holistic type of therapies you get drawn to, they're just a resource. I mean, you're the one that's really doing the healing on your own. It's innate.
That's a great
And so we're just there, you know, the acupuncture needle that I use or the Chinese herb that I use is there just to help you. You know, that's the missing link at the moment, but it doesn't mean that's the deficiency in your life. Like, no one comes out saying, like, oh, I'm, you know, deficient in acupuncture needles. Like, it doesn't happen. Well, maybe I did. But you know, I mean, no one comes out there. So that's the tool. Just like if you go to chiropractic, the tool is their hands or what they're doing with the physical therapy that they're doing. You know, with emotional work, the tool is whatever is the guide. Right. And you have to be more interactive and be open to letting that healing go, or else, yeah, it's just like we're peeling back those layers, well, the layer just kind of puts itself back on because we didn't, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional, we're not built where we were yesterday, nor were we 10, 12 years ago.
Right.
You know, we all feel that physically as we age, but especially emotionally. You know, we're not in the same place like we were discussing with your kids. Mm-hmm. You know, we're not there, so we have to treat where we are here and now, but innately we make those healing choices inside, and they're guided by the proper people and different techniques. And some people respond one way, and some people respond another, and they have to find what's their right balance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I believe also these practices, natural holistic practices like acupuncture and chiropractic, they get you more in touch with your body. You start feeling more your body. You start listening to it, and you start talking to it. So, for example, it will be sooner when your stomach starts hurting. Next time it will be sooner when you feel it, because you will go 10 minutes just ignoring it, just because. Oh.
Well, it's funny. It's funny. It brings up what I usually say is my patients' homework whenever they get finished is literally I say pay attention to yourself, because patients don't pay attention to themselves. They go, I'll ask them, well, where does it hurt? Well, it hurts everywhere. All right, let's learn to be a little bit more specific. And what was it that you were doing right before? Was it a certain food? Were you doing a certain activity? You know, we're so out of tune with that. Right. You know, and then the more complex that system gets, the more it gets boggled down, and we just kind of go, I hurt all the time, and I can't do anything, and I can't function. And sure, that's going to affect the mental, emotional right there. You know, this is already a blockade up. So the healing is just going to stop dead in its tracks. Yeah. Right. But a good thing about really, and this is the kind of hidden point that even Western medicine doctors talk about, is when someone walks into that room, I mean, you're under observation from the moment you walk in. I mean, you're always observing that patient and seeing how did they respond to that question that I even asked them. Does it look like that kind of made them cringe? Well, what does that mean? Right. You might not be in that position that you can ask about that, but you know that there was something there. Right. And when you put your hands on them and you're kind of working with them, are they comfortable with that? They have to be comfortable where you are. So you're always observing what they're doing, where they are, and I tell patients this. I'm straight up forward with them, and it's really funny because they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah. As soon as you walk in, I can tell you, you know, you need a new pair of shoes because your shoes are slanted right. You know, like we got to work on this. Or it's cold outside and you not have a scarf on and you need another layer. Mm-hmm. I mean, those little things can add up quite a bit. So
I very much agree. It's kind of like, you know, I say, I can tell if the person grab dancing or not. Mm-hmm. It's like you have to tune into that energy, right? And feel it. Yep. So observe it.
Well, I think another thing too is so many people don't want to like take responsibility for what's going on in their lives. They're just like, ow, it hurts. I don't want to make adjustments in my life. I just want to go to the doctor and I want to take this pill and I want it to be better so I can get back to my life, and don't even want to figure out what the root of the problem is. Just want to keep on band-aiding it.
But it's easier. It is easier.
Oh, it's so much easier. Well, kind of, until in the end all of the prescriptions have given you like 10 more side effects than you had the problem in the first place.
Well, that's okay. They have a prescription for that as well.
Right. I want to know what the prescription is for anal leakage. I'm sorry. That was like always my favorite side effect that I heard on TV. So I'm like, what is that? Like, I had to know what it was. I was like, you like walk around pooping on yourself or something? I couldn't figure out what it was. So I looked it up, and it was like an oily substance leaks from your bottom. I was like, you know what? I think I'll just deal with whatever the problem was.
Well, usually those go along with like you're taking an antidepressant or something like, you're feeling socially awkward, so this medication is supposed to make you feel much more comfortable, so you'll go out and do stuff. But yeah, when you have side effects like that, you're not going to go outside to begin with.
Exactly.
So what are you treating? Exactly. You're really not treating anything.
Well, right, that, and then one of the side effects of the depression medications is you might commit suicide or have thoughts of committing suicide. And I was like, wow, if I'm depressed and take something that's going to make me have thoughts of suicide, as if I don't already have them because I'm severely depressed.
So, Stephanie, what do you see the trend right now of issues that are coming to you for?
Since we treat a little bit of everything, with my fertility background, I do have a lot of women coming in. Like I said, it's women, and they're sometimes bringing their men or their partners along with them. But since we treat a lot of everything, you're definitely seeing more issues with digestion. And I will include more Western medicine terms like things like diabetes and what we call syndrome X, which is the high blood pressure, the diabetes, everything along with it. Everything that goes along, like the co-issues.
Okay.
You're seeing that for sure because we're not eating what we should, and like I said, we don't want to change it. We just want to keep going, and this is what's available to us because we don't have seasonal eating anymore because everything's available to us all the time. And there's 5 different varieties of it, too, on the shelf. And you're also seeing a lot of
GMO'd and
pesticides. And, the other thing is, I would say everything's stress-induced because you're seeing, and in this particular area, too, it's very different around the country, how people deal with stress, how they respond to it, and they show it. In this particular area, we end up forcing ourselves more into working and kind of using it as a distraction. So now you're seeing the exhaustion factor come in. You're seeing people not sleeping because they're either trying to stay up at night to get more work done, or they're already thinking about the next day. And then that in turn affects their digestive tract. So when you come back to it, is it a digestive issue or is it more a stress-related issue? If they're trying to conceive children, that's coming into it. Like I said, you mentioned before, their body is in such a stressful state that they can't allow, even under a medicated state, it doesn't work out well. So they're going, why is this? And so some of the first things you have to do, if I have no control over the fertility process, and those types of patients might be the ones that are going to an IVF clinic, and that is that's where I don't have any control because they've made that decision that they're going the hormonal route and this is the way. What my job becomes is to work on their stress and to put their mindset in the best place possible so that what they're doing can have the best results. And then moving forward as well through that pregnancy because unfortunately when we talk about a fertility clinic, it's all about getting pregnant and making sure you have a viable child, but it's not about the rest of the process that comes after that.
That hormonal treatment kind of scares me quite a bit.
There's a lot of scary things with it. They've advanced it quite a bit, and I'd say in the last, 20 or 30 years, because they started doing IVF in like 1960s with the first kind of test tube babies. And, unfortunately, they take over. Everything is under their control. So they're going to give you what they need to give you at that time to make you ovulate, to make you stop ovulating, to make your estrogen higher so that you produce more eggs.
Right.
They're going to take them out when they need to do it. So you no longer are the natural part of that. You're in the system. So
you're even more available.
Yeah, and you're seeing more of this happen as women get older and saying, I want that child now, and I know I only have, what they've been told is I only have a few more years for this to happen. So they're going in and they have no choice. But then when they come to me, if they do have a choice and we can work on their cycle, and I tell them it's not going to be an overnight type of thing. We have to undo everything that they did. If not, I have to support your decision of where you're going forward and say, what are we not looking at? We're not looking at the side effects of the medication. So the bloating, the irritability that comes with all these hormone chemical activities, the weight gain, the stressors of I have to make my appointment and be there tomorrow.
Right.
I have to keep going. And with couples, too, losing the joy of procreation. Right. Because now you're on a clock. And whether you're in charge of that clock or someone else is in charge of that clock. Right. So there's a lot of things that go in there. So stress is affecting us more on a physiological level than we think it is.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what's coming in now, and we put a different definition on it. We put it as a heart disease or diabetes or pain, chronic pain.
Or stress.
It's part of
Overdoing people. Stop doing things.
Overdoing and not living enough.
No, but it's as simple as that. If we only could comprehend.
And what's interesting is you bring up a good point with being a stay-at-home mom. I have people that come in that says, well, I'm not stressed. I don't have a job. Maybe I'm financially fine. Everything's great. Or I'm retired. Like, there's no stressors. Like, I don't have to be anywhere in the morning.
Right.
Well, you have stress going through just digesting your food. Like, you have to break it down, you know? So there's always something there where something can go wrong. So it's not always about what's the outside stressors.
Right.
And it's about how our body's physically going after that. If we're in a balanced state, we can handle the traffic and we can handle, like, you know, the 20% of the bad food that sneaks in, and it's not going to create an issue. But if we're not handling it well, that's going to lead to other issues as well, too. And it starts with one thing and then cascades into a bunch of other things.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's a great point. But going back to hormones, I'm curious because many years ago I had a boss who was on hormonal treatment, and I wanted to shoot myself 3 times a day working for her. And I would have given her the gun to do that. Just go home. You know, she was unbearable, and I hope she's not listening.
Sounds like you both need it.
But it was just during the hormonal stage. I mean, her personality overall was fun, but when she was on hormones, she was scary. And I know it's going to happen. So, and I know it does things to your body too, because I've had myself a fibroid, which I was going to bring up. Potentially, you know, another issue that women have a lot right now with fertility, I guess, connected, is a lot of fibroids, which is a growth within your body. So where is it coming from? What can you tell us about that?
What's interesting is when they look at, from the infertility side, the female side, like we'll leave the other basically 60% out right now, the men and the unknown causes. When we look at that, fibroids and PCOS, which is basically polycystic ovarian syndrome. So now you have another growth, but now they're basically the cysts on your ovaries that are supposed to develop into follicles that you ovulate. You have multiple of them. And then endometriosis, which is another growth of tissue that's uterine tissue that's outside of the uterus, are some of the main causes that are all hormonal responsive, that are the reason why people are having issues with infertility. So that's one of the first things that they rule out is, do we see any growth? Do we see something that's not supposed to be there? Right. And a lot of times that's where the greatness of, I guess, Western technology is in there, because we can visually go in there and see that stuff.
Right.
You know, that's where we want to use that side.
Technologically.
Right, exactly. So, because I would love to take someone's pulse and go, well, you have a fibroid on the left, you know, the left side, and everything doesn't work. Not that good. But not anybody's that good. But it's you know, these growths, it's like, well, what's responsive? What's creating that hormonal issue? Now, it's one thing if someone is on a medication. You can clearly trace it back to that. And a lot of times if they come off of that, even if it's blocking like a fibroid growth and you see that development, you can relate those symptoms back to the medication.
Right.
But other times it can be because their body isn't breaking stuff down by itself, so you have to talk about the liver and the detoxification process. Because hormones that were produced in the body, we should be able to break them down the right way.
Right.
And so just like when we think of cholesterol issues, and there's the good cholesterol and the bad cholesterol, we want all the good and we don't want the bad. Well, the same thing can kind of go with estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. They all have a good and a bad side. They all have what they're supposed to do, and they all have, like, if there's too much of them, how they're going to take over the body. And unfortunately, estrogen, which tends to be that driving factor, is about growth and development. I mean, that's how we grow uterine lining when we're still having. So it makes sense that if you have another structure there, we're just going to grow more uterine lining over it. And that's a problem because you want that to be regulated so you're still having a normal cycle, but you don't want it taking over. So, again, it's about finding that balance. And unfortunately, the answer has been, well, let's go on the birth control pill, and then we can regulate out your cycle. We know exactly when you're going to bleed, and that progesterone is going to balance out the estrogen. You're great. Or with menopausal women, the same thing. Oh, your estrogen, your progesterone are going down. We're going to give you estrogen and progesterone back, and then you're going to be great. Well, that's not the normal cycle of the way things go.
Right.
When one drops too quickly or one is too high, that's where we can help things out. But we've always been told to use the medications and not to go and say, hey, what else can I do here?
Right.
So, yeah. So the growth and developments that keep happening now probably have a lot to do with our interaction with the environment, the fact that we get so much more estrogens in the food that we eat. I mean, you see this with women or young girls starting to develop their periods earlier. They're starting to go through menopause earlier, so they're kind of reaching their estrogen max, we'll say, earlier and sooner.
Well, it's from the parabens, it's from the soy, it's from everything. And the parabens are in everything that you put on your skin, from your perfume to your shampoo to your lotion. Yeah. When the body gets that, how does it process it? Right. Does it keep it and store it, and does it feel like oh, this is part of the normal thing that I should do, or not? And that's why you also see, a lot of the focus with women who come in, or when you hear about even some of the celebrities now that have breast cancer issues and they're getting genetic testing, they're looking at estrogen-sensitive issues, going, well, if we just block the estrogen, nothing's going to happen. Or if I just remove the area where that estrogen is going to take place, I'll be fine. Well, the problem isn't necessarily estrogen at that point. It's how does our body deal with it, because we should be able to convert that. Well, right. But then, too, we're so overloaded with it. Even if it did know what to do with it, it's too much to deal with, right? I mean, there's a way of finding a balance. Whenever we talk about environmental medicine, there's the negative side of that, unfortunately, is that you can't even put yourself in the plastic bubble anymore to keep yourself in it, because there's probably something wrong with the plastic bubble, right? Exactly. So everything is it's finding that balance within there. How do we optimize the body's ability to treat anything that comes into the system, right, and process it and deal with it? Okay. So if someone's got a sluggish liver and can't detox, we need to go in there and support that system before we address anything else. Okay.
So you're literally addressing the whole, a lot of times the whole.
Yes. It's not just hormonal therapy. Western-wise is about hormones. Right. Hormonal therapy from a holistic standpoint is almost about the rest of the body, and then the hormones are just a factor in it. And that's not the way most patients, unfortunately, get treated. Right. So that's why they have a lot of issues with it. So when they do start to see those change, and not one treatment fits everybody. Right. I think that's the key, no matter what you're getting treated with, that people realize is that you can't just find that one fix. There's no magic pill. There's, if there is, that whoever invented the magic pill will be set for life. But that's just not the way it is.
Blue or the red, right?
Right. How many of the blue and how many of the reds do we have to take? And, with or without water, food, it all varies, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because it's interesting. I've been taking a birth control pill since a very young age. Well, young enough, for a long period of time, let's just say it that way. And I ended up having a fibroid. So I ended up having a surgery a number of years ago. And, I certainly questioned that. Mentally I did have some connection to it as well, because I also have hip issues. A challenge. I usually don't call it an issue, it's a challenge. And I mean, there are flags in our lives. They are guiding us what we need to look into, emotional as well. So, but I bet, even though I have some emotional as well attached to it, the hormonal part most likely played a role.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And
for all these years.
We had talked a little bit about this during the break, is that there is so much more attached to the birth control pill that comes out. Even when you hear a commercial, they're just talking about, side effects of, blood clotting and stroke and stuff. That's a little,
you're already pregnant, but would you like to have a heart attack?
A little bit of an issue right there. But, the more information that comes out, and now there's so many versions out there. We've got the patch and the injection and the ring and the oral, it keeps going, and the IUDs that are medicated and not medicated. And so when you have something that you're taking for such a long period of time, there's no control of your life, you bet there's going to affect you on all those different levels.
Right.
What I mentioned earlier is, there's a great book that was written. It's a really interesting read. It tends to be a little controversial, and it's written from a perspective of someone who decided to come off the birth control pill. And it's called Sweetening the Pill. Sweetening the pill, making it, if you think about the commercials where they're like, you're going to have so much fun in the sun because when your period's coming, and you're going to have this great hair and breast enhancement and no acne, and that's the sweetening of the pill, because who doesn't want that? But who is not thinking about everything else that goes along with it?
Exactly. It's the cover up. It's like, what we're used to, let's make it better. Yeah,
they're actually making a documentary about this that should be out probably next year, and a good friend of mine is kind of involved with that. And what they've seen with studies is, especially from the emotional standpoint, we take all the physical stuff out of it. Women are coming off the pill going, now I want to have that child. Mm-hmm. So one is their cycle is going to be regular on their own. So they're having to deal with the physical thing.
Right.
But they're coming off of it, and their pheromones have now changed, and what they're attracted to has now changed. So they're dealing with some of the same issues that the reasons why they were put on to begin with. But some women are coming after it, and they're no longer attracted to their partners that they just wanted to have. They wanted to have a child with their partner when they were on it, and maybe they started that when they were dating when they were in college, went on the birth control so they didn't get pregnant. Now they're coming off of it. It seems like the right time, and now they're going, all of a sudden, why am I not attracted to this person? And then the stressors kick into, well, let me go to an IVF clinic, and now everything's under the gun where, I have to get pregnant now because I'm ovulating, so we have to go. That takes everything out of it. It becomes
a job.
Yeah, it is. Work. And there's another fun book. I don't think it's come out here in the U.S.
What is the author for the sweetening pill?
I will look that up.
That's fine.
Yeah, I can give you the link to that. I've gotten mine off of Amazon, so I know it's definitely out there. We'll take both. But one of the ones that just came out in the UK, and another acupuncturist wrote, is called the Fertility Fizz. And it's literally about keeping that fizz and that enjoyment as part of the fertility process, because we get lost. And whether or not this is in the fertility aspect of it, or when women are transitioning into menopause and they're no longer going, I'm not what I was when I was in my youth, that still needs to be there. Everyone's looking for that, but they're just ignoring the emotional side of it. So when that book comes out available here, I think it's going to open up some eyes, because that needs to be part of the process, and that goes back to the mind-body experience.
Exactly.
And they're looking for people to help them with that, because they're thinking there's something physically wrong with me.
Right.
And that's not the truth.
I don't know. I think we need to honor the process more, of our different stages of life as women.
Interesting. Just another point a friend of mine brought up. He's a male, but he brought up a point that he's reading a book about how we've changed, how we lost that transition between boyhood to manhood. Like there's no, I don't know about the book, I don't know anything about it, but the point is that he was reading also about that transition, when you're still a boy and when you're here already becoming a husband and father. So what's between? What's happening between? How do we address that period of time? So the same here. A woman goes from I don't want it to I'm ready.
Yeah.
So the same for them. It's so interesting parallel.
I don't know. I think men is a little bit different. I think they go from boy to man, and we go from child to child being able to have children to not being able to have children, and then.
Well, of course.
We have so many more transitions than they do physically.
We're certainly more complex.
I have a slide in one of my lectures that has the females on the top and then on the bottom, And it's the boyhood, like you mentioned, and then we see them as the knight.
Right.
So they're there to do their job and take over the world and
Right.
be the strong figure, right? They're the knight in shining armor.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden now that they're wise sage, like when they get older, they're supposed to bring out all the things and they're, ruling and they're the kings and all this stuff. Like that's their transition in their mind, right? So that's what's going on. So for women, it's interesting because we do become the girl or the maiden, and we're very pure and we don't know anything about the world, so we usually need everybody else to help us along. And then all of a sudden we're the mother. And so we're taking charge, taking care of everyone else except for ourselves. And then we're the crone.
Yeah.
So now that the men can kind of, I would literally say, like, age gracefully, and they get smarter and smarter. And in one sense, we become the crone because now we're no longer what we were. We're always looking back.
Right.
But when you look at it in a lot more kind of, not just the holistic communities, but different types of societies and stuff, you see a better balance when that starts to change into not the crone, but you're seeing a more of a matriarchal society where now you're the wise woman.
Right.
And the females are taking over, and they're the ones that you go to for the advice because they had to deal with the boys and the knights and the kings as well. They don't go the other way around.
All the stages of mental.
So, yeah, it's always interesting, and I have to remind women, are you going to be the crone or are you going to be the wise woman? Because it's so easy to think of ourselves as the crone part.
Oh, yeah.
And,
I always hated that word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the word like the witch.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it equated to in my mind, kind of like just old and wrinkled and scary and
Yeah.
Catwoman that stays to herself in the middle of the woods. Huh.
Who would that be? Who would that be? Yes. Yeah, that's interesting. That's very interesting. The transitions.
Yeah.
I definitely will be checking those books out.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Yeah,
about
I'll post them on Facebook so everybody can get
and
the link.
please let us know the authors.
Yeah.
of the book.
Janie White, it's Jani White, is the author of the Fertility quiz. I know that. And I can look at the other one during the break.
Yeah, we'll get that.
Okay, great.
She is an acupuncturist and practices out of London.
Okay.
So, yeah.
No, okay. So I know that everyone is their own person. Everyone is different. Like you said before, everybody's treatment for issues is going to be different. If there's one thing that you could kind of give to our listeners, because everybody's in a different place, just one thing that would be beneficial for them kind of moving forward, whether it's a fertility issue or whatever kind of they're going through, what one thing would you say would be kind of good homework for them going forward? Wait, we're going to have more homework after this. Don't think that this is your only homework. I'm sorry, Stephanie. Continue.
It can be that easy.
Homework number one. I think the prep work for the homework. I think the ability to observe ourselves is probably the key no matter what we're going through, what stage of life, what health conditions. Is if there's something that you are really focusing in on, and this can also be like a goal as well too, so don't always just think about this as like a health concern. It could be like, I want to start a new business, I want to start a radio show, how do I feel about that, and what are the things around me that I haven't done? Because the more you observe it, the more you pay attention to things happening, and you start to realize that those steps and the goals to make the next step are actually always there present with you. You just have been overlooking them the whole time. It's like the person who, gets a new car and then they think their car is the only one on the road and then they see 15 other ones of them out there.
Every time I got a new car, every time.
But the same thing applies to us too, is that observation starts to give you the keys to move forward.
Right.
And no matter what it is, those keys are what you can use as, a starting tool, or you start to realize what you don't have that you need to put into place as well too. So no matter if that's health or finances, you name it.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Because if you go to the doctor's office, like I said, they're always observing you for a physical thing.
Right.
So you're following in there. And that information, especially if you're going to see someone like myself, I rely a lot, and I don't think patients understand this, on what they're telling me. I actually take that into advice. because they know their bodies better than anyone else. I can't say you're going to feel great tomorrow. If you don't feel great, I need to know why. So that's great health advice to share with other people as well.
Yeah, definitely. That's very
good. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's very good.
So, yeah.
So are we can chat about some other stuff more, or we can go into a short break and come back?
I think we just keep on going through because we already got a good 10 minutes in earlier, and I like to talk more with Stephanie.
Awesome. Okay. So what I'm curious about is first time you see a patient, for example, right? What would be your first questions? Yes, I know because I've done acupuncture myself, so I know that they ask many questions and everything like that, but what are your main questions that you typically ask every patient?
What I always start with is just like when you're going into a regular medical office, they're going to know some basic history. I mean, why are you in there? What have you done? But I think my questions tend to be more geared towards how have you responded to other types of treatments as well, too. Because I don't want to repeat the same things that we've done, or I need to figure out the piece that didn't work well for you and modify that.
Right.
I need to look at it from a larger standpoint. So you're going to ask questions about basically every type of healthcare question you can possibly imagine. Mm-hmm. But I need to know where you're coming from. And that's where my observation skills need to kick in, because if you're like, well, I took this medication and I felt great, but there's that hesitancy, we're knowing that person probably doesn't really want to take another medication. So we have to find another way. Mm-hmm. But then you also have to see how comfortable they are with the experience of being in there, because some people are very desperate for answers and they're going, I'm here because someone else told me I need to be here. I mean, I hate to say it with the guys, but that's what it is. A lot of times they come in because their wives, their girlfriends brought them there, and they had a good response. Right. So now they're like, well, I was told to come here. Mm-hmm. And so I know I have to address that a little bit different than someone who's like, I've done my research, I'm ready to go, I have questions for you. And they're the ones that come in very specific, like, why are you not using this one acupuncture point? Right. You know, and I'm like, okay. Let's go into that. So, yeah, I mean, because we get everything across the board. Like, people come in with, like, 50 supplements because they've read about every new supplement and they sound like they needed that. And they're going, I don't know if it's helping me or not. So what have they been doing? Where's their process? And what is their goal going forward? And this other just, I want to be healthy. Because a lot of times when they come in, that's the response they give to their Western medicine doctor. And that's all they need to do, because their Western medicine doctor is going to make sure that everything's functioning fine and then send them on their way. Right. But when you're trying to create a treatment for someone in a holistic standpoint, you have to put them and get them involved with it. Right. And that's step one. Then you can do, you know, I like personally to see what they've done also with other doctors. They've had lab work and stuff with them. Or if I have a fertility patient that's been to another clinic, they get the chart notes. Because, one, those are available to you. Your lab work is your lab work. Don't let anyone not give you what you went through. Right. One, you paid for it, and two, it's you. Exactly. Yeah, and that doesn't happen. People don't carry that around with them. You know, I want them to go old school and have to pay for it with them and stuff. And the reason is because there's a lot more information that you can find out with stuff that's been done in the past than you think of. Because a normal, like, the lab range, for example, isn't always normal. And what we want to look at is that an optimal range, and are you functioning well with that range? Right. You know, thyroid's a huge one with this one, because everybody looks normal, but they don't feel right. Their body temperatures are off. They're not sleeping well. They're really fatigued. It's not always thyroid, but they'll say, well, I had it tested. And I go, well, there's about 15 other tests we can do that the other doctors do. Right. So we have to see what they've done before and then start to modify it. And that's different than, hi, I'm here for my annual checkup, and we're going to draw blood work, and you don't get, you know, if you don't get a phone call, then I guess everything is fine. Right. You know, that's not the way holistic medicine should work, and you're not seeing it work that way right now, and that's one of the main differences. Okay. Yeah. That's great. Wow, I'll definitely have to talk to more. And then acupuncture-wise, you're, you know, looking at tongue and pulse and all the great science that, you know, Chinese medicine is about observation, because 3,000 years ago we didn't have lab tests and blood work and x-rays, and they would say, okay, let's see what's going on, or like take that information that, okay, you're a dancer, where is that stress and strain going to be?
Right.
It doesn't mean that's the only answer, but that's certainly going to play a part in your healing factor. Or if you're continuing to do that, and you can't tell someone, you know, I think you should stop doing this, and they're going, no, I'm going to keep doing it because mentally that's how I de-stress and I want to do stuff. You have to incorporate that into their treatment, knowing they're going to go do it.
Right.
You know, you see this with athletes all the time.
Well, knowing they're going to do it, but do you still tell them, like, because I know I'm a nutrition coach, and a lot of my clients, I tell them, like, you can not do these things. You can go and eat cake and fried foods, and you can go do all those things. That's fine, but you're not going to be well. Like, very bluntly, I have to tell them, unfortunately, because a lot of them don't do very well.
The types of medicines that we're talking about, you need to have more involvement as a patient. And it's too easy to kind of say no. And there's a fine line between pushing a patient into doing it, because I pushed one too hard, and I can definitely imagine I never saw that patient again.
Right.
And that happens. Right. You know, people are ready for certain things at certain times and places. And their priority, you know, their priority is going to play a lot into it. If they're the person that just, I'm here because I was told to come here, that priority is not going to be there. They may turn around when they talk to you, but it's not going to be there. The person that just had a heart attack and goes, I want to survive, is certainly going to turn things around a lot quicker.
That's true.
So their priorities and their mindset needs to be at the right time and place. And sometimes even the people with the best intentions come in, and you can just tell that they're not at that healing spot. So you can just give them those guidance things to go work on for now, and then you need to talk to them later. And a lot of times if those patients appreciate what you're doing and do any of that, they start to go, oh, you actually do know what to do. I can come and see you and talk to you about this. And they'll come back. It may be 2-3 years later, but they still come back. And I see that a lot.
Planted, they get information when they need it.
Yeah, I believe so. It comes. You're ready when you're ready. And I believe in that flow. And as you tune into that flow, life does change. Does really change.
Yeah, patients have to play a much more active part in their healthcare than they ever have before. And as you know, if you look at whatever's going on with the healthcare industry right now, they have to be much more on top of that. And unfortunately, there's good and bad points that some patients are, because of the accessibility and all the information that's out there, they're questioning more, which is step one. Now, are they going to get the answers to the questions that they need? That's the next part. That needs to come from the medical profession, whether it's holistic or Western or anything. That needs to come from their aspect. How do I answer those questions? But in the long time, it's got to start with the patient asking, because, if the patient never asks, never say anything, we're as good as we are, we're not mind readers. And we're going to go back to what we know. So.
Well, because it's like you come to the doctor and you have no desire to be healed. Well, doctor, I mean, holistic doctor in this case. And you just, you know, you don't have desire, so why are you there? If there's no desire internally, or not even desire, I don't want to call it desire, but conscious a decision, yes, I would like to feel better. And that's what I'll do. But they don't even have that.
One of the things I was going to say is interesting, especially with a fertility patient, though, is I have patients that will come in and do everything I tell them. They'll come in weekly for acupuncture. They've changed their diet. They've kind of gotten their partner to change, at least add a supplement or two in, you know, maybe as good as it's going to get. And they've done everything, and they're charting their basal body temperature so we can see their fluctuations in hormones. And then all of a sudden what will happen is they'll kind of get to that stress point, because it's like, okay, why am I not pregnant? And you have to have a different conversation with them. And a lot of times I tell them, you know, plan a vacation and just go on a vacation from everything. I can't tell you how many Bahama mom babies and a couple of Parisian babies out there that because they took themselves out of the environment and the stress, and they had that alone time, but their body was prepped for what needed to happen next. Even though they didn't think it was going to happen, that's when it happened.
But it's so true.
And they come back and they're like, I'm feeling nauseous, and something's not right. And I go, let's do some checking. Cause
that's exactly what happened to us on vacation.
So put vacations in as part of your treatment plans. You know, your me time. You know, you can't take away from that.
Not the hormonal treatment, but the vacation treatment.
Exactly. Everyone. I'm all for that. Totally.
Yes, summer is coming up soon. Yes. Yeah. So that was awesome. So much information. We would love to have you back more.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to get you back on
Get
the
more
later
topics
this
on,
summer.
about it because there's,
So much information.
Yeah. I can say that at the Results Center for Healing this is coming up, I think it's June the 15th. It's the Wednesday in 2 more weeks.
It's my birthday.
You can come to the lecture. We're doing natural kind of fertility to menopause, natural hormone information. So some of this stuff will be kind of similar to what we're going over, but more in depth.
Okay.
So if anyone was interested, they can certainly call the office to reserve a spot, or go to rosellecare.com, and then they've got all the lectures, not just my lectures, but all different types of holistic lectures that we provide every other week is on there.
Oh, awesome.
And the phone number if they want to call is 703-698-7117, and we start those lectures at 7 p.m.
Okay.
And the website again is what?
It's Roselle Care, so ROSELLECARE.com. And my bio is on there. All the upcoming ones are on there. A lot of really good information.
Yeah.
A lot of different topics. We cover a lot.
Very cool.
Well, thank you so much, Stephanie, for coming on.
Thank you for
Really,
joining
really
us.
appreciate
It was a pleasure. There was a lot of interesting information, and I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. All right. Well, I think we are wrapping up this Memorial Day.
It's a holiday weekend.
I'm pretty sure it's only 3 of us on the air right now, but it's okay. We have archives. So if you are barbecuing, riding your bike, hanging out with family, enjoying this holiday and celebrating the holiday for your own reasons, please do enjoy, and then check out our archives next week.
Yeah.
And then we are going into our next step, which is the ending music, and we will see you next time on the radio. And have a lovely weekend.
Okay, I'm just going to say we're going to let you get away with one homework this week, even though we were going to give you another one.
That's right. You said
it was really good.
Yeah, let's do the homework. We're not.
Should we give it to them? Should we be nice because it's a holiday?
All right.
All right, we'll be nice.
Keep on observing yourself.
Yeah, and again, we'll post all the information on Facebook so you can link to the different books that Stephanie was talking about, as well as your homework.
All right.
Have a good holiday, guys.
Good night, everyone.